Hey, what day is it today on Ice Age, or should we say EV Age TV? Yes, it's day 2 of driving around in my Ford Mustang Mach E GT experiences. So follow me along as I kind of share with you what I'm learning as I drive my brand new first ever electric vehicle. So follow me along and I'll share you some insight to what's happening. All right, first things first, I'm so, when you're talking to a 59-year-old guy, that's my age, that started driving when he was 16 years old, and you get in a vehicle, you don't hear any noise. I mean, come on. Yeah, so, there's noise right now because I got my heat on, and these do a good job of heating the vehicle up. It's not relying on a gas engine. So let's get her in reverse. Got 224 miles on her. 216-mile range, which for me, that's fine for what I'm doing today. But, when it's all said and done, I'll probably be down to like 40 miles. So, to me, kind of disappointed that this didn't have a little longer range. And maybe that changes as I drive it more. Kind of like you drive your car, you get a better, more fuel efficient, way you drive the vehicle in your circumstances. But right now, I'm just kind of surprised. I thought for sure this vehicle would be conservative, a 230, 250 mile, range vehicle. So, anyways. All right. So, yesterday, I got my first real experience of driving the car. And if you've noticed, I'm going to post some videos. And the videos will be about me installing my 240 volt charger, which you have that capability, thank goodness. I mean, I can't emphasize enough, if I didn't have that 240 capability charge, I don't know, would this be kind of a decision maker, me saying, man, is it worth having to buy a supercharger station to put in my house? Which, there's a lot more to that. I mean, and when I talk in my videos, sometimes I watch my own videos, I'm like, wow, I didn't really clarify that I didn't do a good job on that. So, like, if you watch my video of me going to get the car, something that is very important is now my phone's going nutty on me, so I don't know what's being recorded isn't. So here's some information. When I watch my own videos, I listen to myself talk, and I sometimes feel like, man, I just didn't really give that information clearly. And so, as an example, when I was going to get my electric Mustang the other night, which I'm driving today, I, made it sound like charging these cars isn't that much money. But from yesterday's experience, it's expensive. So if you're actually out on the road traveling and you're having to use these charger stations, I'm not talking about a supercharging station. I'm talking about a regular charging station that takes forever to charge your vehicle. You're going to spend, $5-10 to get an extra, 50, 60 miles, maybe 80 miles. So, that's, if you stop and think about it, if your car gets 20 miles a gallon and, you buy 3 gallons, in the good old days, that was $60, right? So, yeah, the electric car still beats that on that equation. But at the same time, you're going to spend money to drive this vehicle when you're going to these charging stations, and you're going to spend money at home to charge it on your electricity. So, the message is the electric car is not like you escape spending money to ride around a vehicle. And I think most get that, but I think a lot of people are, trying to portray this vehicle as like, you get to drive it and you're not going to spend any money. Yeah, no, that's not the case. And even to the point that I was talking through my first video about how you put a supercharger station in your home, which I don't think you really need that. I just proved to myself by just putting in a 240 volt hookup in your home, garage, whatever it is, which I did by myself last night. It's more than enough, because if you're going to leave the car overnight, the car will be fully charged by the next morning, meaning the 240 hookup is basically about 20 miles per hour charge. So it's a no-brainer. 8 hours of charge, 160 miles, 10 hours, 200 miles. So yesterday I plugged mine in at 5 of 8, came into the office this morning, shop, and it was fully charged by 8 o'clock this morning. And so that works for me, not a big deal. So the supercharger station, I don't really get why you're buying that, because that would be the rapid charge. But the only reason I can figure you'd be doing that is you only have one vehicle and you drive a lot of miles and you need to be back on the road very quickly. So you drove 150 miles throughout the day, you're going out for the evening, drive another 100 miles, whatever it may be. That's the only reason I can figure that you need a supercharge station. Otherwise, you don't need that. I don't get why people are buying those. That, to me, that's a lot of money. And what I mean by that is this: is the supercharger itself can be $2,000-$3,000. Then you got to run the electrical to it, which people don't understand that your electrical panel may not handle that supercharger's capabilities. You may have to have a whole new electrical panel put in your home. I mean, this could get very radical. I mean, it takes much heavier gauge wire. So you could spend $5-10 grand just on an electric, potentially. I'm not saying it's a definite. So that supercharger station could be a $7,000 to $10,000, if maybe even not more, purchase. But you don't need it. From my experience of having a 220/240 hookup with the factory plug, given to you, if you just drive the vehicle in the daytime and then you park it in your garage or in front of your house or wherever it is, and it can sit for a good 6 to 10 hours, you're fine. So I hope that helps anybody out there that's, on the page. Well, I'm hearing a lot about, I'm going to spend a lot of money to charge it and buy this big electrical station. You won't, unless it's your only vehicle and you drive 300 miles every day of your life, is what only way I can come to closure on how you really need that fast charge capability. Now on the main roads, yes, the fast charging stations are key, but I've been so busy working and doing my YouTube video and doing the electrical hookup, I just haven't had a lot of time to focus on how many supercharger stations are actually in the market around me and when you go on long trips. And after talking to that technician that's contracted for Electrify America charging stations, he's conveying to me that the supercharger stations are one in a few. That most of these charging stations that you go to are 150 kilowatt. 150 kilowatt charging will take forever for you to get mileage. So yesterday I spent 30 minutes to get, I think, 40 miles out of the vehicle. Okay, so if I needed 100 miles, that would be over an hour of a charge, and it would probably be about a $12, I would say it'd be like a $12 charge for that, or maybe 13, something like that. But it's just the time, to sit at a gas station or a parking lot or wherever it may be for, like an hour and 15 minutes. I mean, that's a lot of time out of your day if you're a productive person and you have to get things done. So that, to me, is not very comforting. And the technician even point blank talked about how it just isn't there. The technology for these vehicles to support them on the charging capabilities it's not there. They just don't have the infrastructure built for these fast charging stations, and I understand that. I know electrical. I do electrical, and I get all that. It's huge draws of energy that you need to be able to have these fast charge, supercharged stations. The equipment you need, the gauge wire, the panels. I mean, there's so many things that go in behind that little device you plug into your car that the average person just doesn't get. The strain on the electric is massive. So, you just can't go up to a gas station and pull out of the panel and make this thing work. They may have to actually bring in all new power from the power company into the station just to support this type of, kilowatt usage on those supercharger stations. And that's the real story that you're not being told is, like Sheetz is a big gas station in my area that's taken on the Tesla charging stations and electrified charging stations. And what you're not hearing is who's going to pay the bill for the upgraded electrical, where it's a major, investment, not only out front of the gas station for the electrified charging stations, but the infrastructure at the gas station to bring in this really big ass, power capability. So that's and what's unfortunate is the general conversation in the public and the green people that want to push this electric vehicle movement, they don't talk a lot about this. So people are very, they're not educated. That's the problem, and that's the reason I bought this vehicle. Is I want to get educated. I want to see what the real deal is. I want to see me using this vehicle. How much money do I really save? And what are all the variables? Which I like that, and this isn't a video that some will take as, this guy's starting to kind of sound like he's just videoing to beat up the electric technology. It's not. I am not an individual against electric vehicles. That's not my agenda. My agenda is I'm going to learn and hopefully educate others so that we can progress to a better way of managing the future of our transportation in this country and world that benefits us all. And it's just not a one-sided view that's not really being, conveyed correctly. And unfortunately, in today's world with the media, it is so twisted. It's an agenda. It's an agenda behind most messages, and it's sad. And for me, I'm not a paid Ford employee. I'm not a paid electrical vehicle, Electrify America charging. I'm not paid. I'm just a car nut guy that just loves vehicles and loves to drive the latest, greatest. And if it fits the seat of my pants and gets me excited, I buy it. As long as the bank lets me. But sometimes, a lot of times they don't. So, hey, I hope you guys continue to follow me as I ride along in my new Ford Mustang Mach E GT package. And I'll share some more information as I drive the day. So my muscle car buddies on my forums are saying, hey man, come on. Let's put this thing in some real power mode and let's see what you start seeing on your range then. They're kind of like saying, hey, when I drive my, muscle car and I start nailing it, the gas mileage goes down, but I still do pretty good. So here's the thing. We're in Engage right now, and let's go ahead and go to the unbridled. Okay, let's see if we can do that. Can you even do that driving down the road? Yeah, you can. So there's the engine noise. So we're at 206 miles, 99% energy. So now this thing's going to get a little bit of an attitude, which that's pretty, it now kind of has that. I know any Ice Age guy here is like, oh my God, it's making the engine noise, she is, definitely plenty of torque, so if you were deaf, which borderline I am deaf, if you drove this vehicle, you would probably not know it's an electric vehicle. So, this thing performs definitely like right now. I really haven't driven this car the back roads. So, and I have the one pedal braking on. That's pretty cool. Oh yeah, so this thing just, it's every bit of a gas car, performance car, So if anybody out there is like, well, no, this thing's definitely, off the line, this car's going to beat most muscle car guys. But is that what it's about for me? It's not. Is it about the excitement of driving the car and getting that inertia feeling? It is. And is it about having, the latest, greatest performance version of a vehicle that I can justify buying? Like the Plaid, the Tesla Plaid. There's no way I'm buying that vehicle. Is it badass? It is, but that thing's like, $150,000 or $200,000 and probably be even lucky to get one, and so, that's okay. I'm a Ford guy at the moment, so that's what I want to play with. But hey, I got the big truck in front of me, so the fun time's over on the back roads. All right, so it's really interesting when you go from the engage mode to the unbridled mode, this is just like my ICE Ford products, where you literally feel the vehicle open up. You know, if you watch my other videos on my ST Explorer, my Ford Tremor, you know, F-150 video, the Ford Bronco video, you'll see how I talk about how it's really neat how you can feel when you go from one setting to another setting. Now, in those ones, it's the GOAT mode, you know, you got the performance, sport mode. In this vehicle here, it's interesting who the marketing people that, you know, thought of this stuff. But so like right now, you know, this car being in the performance mode, and I'm assuming that, you know, that's the mode. There's not really much more I can do with the vehicle. Unlike the ICE cars, like the Ford Mustang, you've got your performance settings, but then you have the engine exhaust settings. You can change the suspension, you can change the steering wheel, and, you know, is that another variable in this vehicle? I don't think it is. But hey, I'm brand new owning the vehicle, and I'm learning as I drive it. So, you know, this is just, you go to unbridled, and, you know, that's the whole shebang, if you know what I mean. And that's a lot of vehicles in all reality. Like my ST, that's the same thing. You're not getting different exhaust notes, stuff like that. But anyways, right now, you know, she's definitely, you know, feels, you know, and that's what's kind of weird is I think the suspension and the steering wheel, I don't think anything's changed on that. You know, the power, you know, how the power feels, for sure, it's huge. You know, so this vehicle definitely feels a lot sportier, and, you know, it's giving me the exhaust type of note in it, you know, so that's the fun factor on the vehicle, you know. Yeah, so I just, so that is kind of neat. It's kind of neat how you kind of get in the pedal, and, you know, and she's radiating through that piped-in music. It's music. It's not the real deal. It's the piped-in exhaust note. And, you know, it behaves just like that engine does, gas engine does. And the braking on this thing's incredible. I mean, that's one thing for sure. I mean, because you have these wheel brake motors, you know, if you want to, how you classify them. And, you know, so it's a very confident feeling driving vehicle. You know, you definitely have, and it's tight. The vehicle is extremely tight, you know, for a Ford product. And as most people know, you know, especially an SUV or a crossover, this is a crossover vehicle. You know, you tend to get that not such a strong structural feel. But this vehicle here, I mean, it just feels so tight. You know, it feels like it's a German-built car. And, yeah, so I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, you know, it feels like the Porsche or the BMW, you know, just, or even like to a degree, maybe the Toyota to a degree, just trying to kind of, you know, radiate that it's the vehicle that gives you a really, you know, good feel about the vehicle. And, you know, that's one of the reasons I bought this car. The quality of the vehicle is definitely there. I mean, Ford has done a really good job on, you know, the feel of the vehicle and the finish for the most part. I still think the GT package interior is a little lame. You know, in borderline, I got the Recaro seats, which I'm not a fan of that. But yeah, you know, but that comes down to availability. If you want to wait, you know, I could have waited, blah, blah, blah. But I'm the guy that kind of gets excited about something, and then I just kind of make it all happen. That's just kind of how I am. So you probably hear a lot of, some of the road nose, pretty rough roads back here, but nice roads. But yeah, I'm getting that engine noise. And so now being in the unbridled, you know, what is happening with the range? Am I seeing a huge decrease in range? And, you know, but I'm not sitting here doing launches, all out, you know, racing the car, which, you know, we know you're not going to do that. Going down back roads and all that good stuff. So, all right, follow me along. I had to take the phone out of my actual, case to protect it, to get the screen to recognize it's charging. And to me, these charging stations just don't do what they're supposed to do. Now, I can kind of get that, being that you're doing the wireless Apple Play, that I think it's maybe just a constant drain, meaning that if you turn off the Apple CarPlay wireless capability with the Waze on, you probably would get a realistic charging out of the, out of this wireless charging docking station. But with having the Waze on, the Apple Play on, I think it's just a total, it's just it's a fight. You're fighting for energy, because the one energy being Waze and Apple Play is taking more energy than you're able for the wireless docking station to be able to produce. So that's what I think's going on. I guess to really figure it out, they you just turn off the Apple Play and the Waze and see if your phone. I'll tell you one thing that I really do like about this car is the one pedal driving. So you have a feature on this vehicle. You have a feature here that says one pedal drive, and it literally means that your foot there, the gas, it's funny you say gas, right? What do we say? How do you classify that? They just say pedal. So the pedal, but there's two pedals. So the propulsion pedal versus the brake pedal, I don't know. So anyways, the gas pedal, to keep it in simple language, when you as usual, you push it down and go. Yeah, duh. But when you let off of it, the car, slows down like you're braking the vehicle. So, which part of me says, does the vehicle regenerate its own energy to recharge the battery? See that blue there? Now I'm in green. So does that mean it's recharging the battery? And I have no idea. Somebody's watching the video, probably like, yeah, man. Or no, that just means you're in non-energy mode. You're not doing anything, So that's probably the real answer. But what's really cool is because you literally now aren't tapping your foot from, right to left. It's just incredible where the technology is in these vehicles. It's a rolling computer. You're literally in a rolling computer. That's why people laughed at Apple, but, think about it. Why wouldn't Apple make a car? It's all about the technology. Just incredible. And that's something to think about with all this technology is, Tesla, is a company that was very smart, about how they had cars with cameras on them, and those cameras are creating the artificial intelligence of the future driving vehicles. That's what Tesla really did, is they designed a vehicle with a gazillion cameras in it to start creating artificial intelligence for driverless vehicles. And, unbeknownst to many people today that buy new cars, it doesn't have to be this car. It's all of my Ford products that have like adaptive cruise capability or frontal crash capability. Unbeknownst to most people, those cameras are, right now videoing you driving down the road. That's why they have a black box in your vehicle that can go against you, or it can be your best friend in a car crash. So, here we are as individuals like me driving all the roads every day, and this car is learning my behaviors and then learning the environment that it's in to, advance the driverless car. That's why there's no doubt that the driverless vehicle will eventually be a driverless vehicle, more than we've ever realized could be, because of so much information is being fed to the computers these days that's that's uploaded from these vehicles that we drive, and helping advance the technology. Just a little bit of information there for you. I talk about it numerous times in the video I've made in the last few days, but this is just like driving a car. In all sincereness, it's like driving a nice car, and in reality, I've said it 5 times before, 10 times before. You really wouldn't know if this was a gas car, electric car, because the gas cars today are so quiet. The engines are so smooth. You really wouldn't notice any difference. So it would really be interesting if you put some fake exhaust tips in the back of this, that you could probably convince people this is a gas-driven car. I mean, why wouldn't they believe it? Looks just like a regular car, if you know what I mean. Hey, there's an idea. I'm going to go down to the parts store and buy some fake exhaust tips. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. It said energy returned when I just came to a stop. But the one thing that kind of concerns me about this, one pedal drive is, do the brake lights come on when the car deaccelerates? That's always been a concern, these adaptive cruise control vehicles, is the guy behind me realize I'm slowing down by the brakes of the vehicle. And that's a big danger for motorcyclists. A lot of motorcyclists do a lot of free-spirited riding on the weekends, enjoying the scenery, and they're using their downshifting on their bike to slow it down, and they're not using their brake pedal. And unbeknownst to them, the person behind them doesn't realize they're slowing down. And if you ever follow motorcyclists, you can probably relate with it. So you're kind of come up on a guy on a motorcycle, and all of a sudden he's slowing down, but he has no brake light on. All right, so let me show you what I see on the screen. Okay, so now I'm letting off the pedal. I'm not touching the brake, okay? So I'm coming to a stop. I'm letting off the brake. Energy returned. So I guess this does, when you do the one pedal driving, it is pretty cool. I wouldn't want to say to anybody you still don't have to use your brake pedal, because you should if you're not managing your distance to stopping. But if you're, managing your distance to stopping, this one pedal drive works pretty damn good. It's pretty nice. These vehicles today really are helping us drive and be more comfortable, and hopefully, hopefully we become safer drivers, even though more than ever in this DC, Virginia, Maryland area, these vehicles and people and cars, it's crazy. I mean, it's crazy. And I think the pandemic created this, meaning there's so many people that didn't have to drive to work anymore. They used to spend hours and hours a day driving. Well, that's over. A lot of these people are having to go back to work, and some of these people have been off the roads for 2 years. You may think I'm making this stuff up, but, people have had to commute. The federal government in this D.C. area isn't officially going to be back the full workforce until March 14th. Today's March 11th. But I'm already seeing, since I live on the roads, I'm on the road 5 days at least out of the week, sometimes 7 days out of the week. And, the behaviors of what you're seeing today since the pandemic came in, it's crazy. It's bad. People have gotten really aggressive, rude, and extremely high-speed driving. And, and what people understand, and ask me how I know, what people don't understand is you can go hot dogging around these roads, but if you get yourself in trouble, once you get yourself in trouble, reality sets in. The truth shall prevail. If that's the word we should start using here, the truth shall prevail. And me talking about electric cars, it also radiates back into your driving behaviors, where a police officer pulls you over, if he cites you for a reckless driving ticket, speeding ticket, crash, whatever it is. So there's your first peg from a police officer, and maybe other people involved, which that's even more. You ask me how I know. Well, what's happened to me here in the last month with my daughter. Yeah, right. So now you've got a police officer to deal with, a ticket. And then you may have a judge to deal with at the courthouse. And then you may have to talk to your insurance company. So your behaviors start to get very expensive. Ask me how I know. And your free-spirited, fun, crazy driving days, are now borderline. Do you even have fun-spirited driving days because you've done something radically wrong, and you may be on a restricted license or you not even have a license, which I'd say that's the radical end. But if anything, your insurance company's going to, they're going to start hammering you by sending you a big fat bill to be able to ride around your car with their insurance policy. So the message is, it's really unfortunate. There's a lot of people. Here's a guy coming right now up on me, and it's a Ford Mustang Mach E guy that's actually flashing me going, "Hey, how's it going?" So that's pretty cool. Yeah, so anyways, just going back to, hopefully people watch my video. I'm not the model perfect driver, but at the same time, I'm just wanting to convey that more than ever, more and more people are driving crazy going down the road, and don't get caught up that everybody else does that, or I should say more like select few do that just gives you a pass to be the same way and and not behave on the road. I mean, that's what goes on, is people see somebody else doing it. That's just how we are as humans. It's like, oh, if they get away with it, why can't I get away with it? What's the big deal? And that's the problem. So it just magnifies even more bad behaviors on the road. Is that the lesson for the day? Got the BlueCruise on. It'll start to chew me out any second here. If you don't pay attention to that, that's what happens. But so we're at 184 miles, 89% charge. Doing 68 in the vehicle. Just kind of pacing with the traffic here around the DC metro area. And so how far do we go today? How far does this thing go without charging, right? This BlueCruise is so nice. I mean, it really is a great feature where you don't have to have your hands on the wheel. And yeah, do I trust it 100%? No. No way. You're crazy. Stay way over there. The guy goes by me at 75. And that's the thing around here, this area, it's crazy. It is crazy, and how it's 75 mile an hour driving in this area. 70, 75. You do 55 and you get run over. Just kind of stay with the flow of traffic. Don't get radical. That's the goal. Now I got my heated seat on. Oh my gosh, this car gets too hot. I mean, it's just too hot. That seat is like a freaking toaster. Wow. I mean, it's not that cold out at the same time. Right? Hey, pay attention. Drive the car, would you? Now the car's driving itself. See, it says right there, hands free. Right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's just really, too bad I didn't have massaging seats, right? You'd be like, yeah, then you'd definitely be falling asleep behind the wheel. Well, no, the Tremor truck F-150 does not have massaging seats. That'd be dangerous because it has the BlueCruise. See, one thing this thing doesn't do, let's see if it does this. Oh, see, it turns off. So the Tesla product, but it's supposed to come back on. Yes, the Tesla's product, when you go left-hand lane or right-hand lane, you switch lanes, supposedly it does not, turn off. In fact, I think it actually drives that left-hand lane. So here we got to go right-hand lane. Got a guy do about 80, 90 miles an hour coming up on me. Let him do his thing. All right, so see there. So yeah, they still don't have the technology of where you can switch lanes without ending up, you gotta manage it. It's all about managing it. Manage, right? Oh boy, this is the Beltway. If you live in this Virginia, DC, Maryland area, the traffic just like LA, it's horrendous. But what's pretty cool, we've got the adaptive cruise on, so you don't have to use your foot or brake, and the things tell me watch the road. But hey, it's hands free. Look at this. So actually, I can drive around hands free, foot free. Yeah, as I drive around my new Mustang Mach E GT. And we're at, oh man, I tell you, I was just at one location on my business, running around all day doing things, and lost a lot of energy, or a lot of time, I should say. And now I'm fighting the mid-afternoon traffic around this DC area. About 2 o'clock, it's over. And people are like, what? Yeah, about 2 o'clock, 2:30, once the school buses start hitting the road for elementary schools or middle school, whatever it may be, even some high schools start getting out of school, the roads just get totally locked down. So in this area, you got about 10:30 to about 1:30 to get around the Beltway. It's about a 2-hour, 3-hour window, and after that, it's pretty much just you're in a lot of heavy traffic. So if anybody's out there, lives in another part of the country and thinks our traffic sucks, well, yeah, come on over to DC, Virginia, Maryland area. And what's crazy is when the pandemic was here, it was pretty cool. Everybody was at home and roads were a blast to drive, but everybody's being forced back to work again. And that being the case, the roads are going back to the way they used to be. And prior to the pandemic, it was just brutal. But we've gone 2 years. I mean, it's crazy how this DC area is now, and it's 2 years when the pandemic started, and so it's now 2 years later, and it's going back to the way it used to be, which is just dreadful to live in a vehicle and drive around this area. It's very challenging. So, but with hands-free, foot-free, you know, it's pretty cool. Don't have to, you do have a lot more freedoms, as per se. And it's interesting, you know, I've been riding around the Beltway, and there's all these people with the convoy, you know, flags and hang on the bridges, but I haven't seen one convoy truck, you know, but I haven't been here, you know, last week is when they were up here, I guess, or Monday or Tuesday. It's Friday here, and I haven't seen any of those truckers, so I don't know what's going on with that. Don't really know why the people are hanging out and doing that, but oh well. Anyways, just kind of giving you an overview as I ride around on my new Mustang Mach-E and enjoy the features of kind of fighting the traffic, being that you don't have to hold the steering wheel and you don't have to do the gas, you know, and brake. It's so funny. I always say the gas and brake. What do we say? You know, what do we say? The push pedal, the push pedal and the brake. But this car with this braking, the 1 foot push pedal. Oh wow! So this is a little lesson. Oh wow! So this is a little lesson. This car has auto resume, so it comes to a complete stop. I hope we get a complete stop here, which you probably won't. But the car comes to a complete stop, and then it takes off by itself. I've never had, you know, I have the advanced or the adaptive cruise control on a lot of vehicles that I own. But I've never had the feature where after you stop for X amount of seconds that it turns off, you know. So most adaptive cruise control, once you come to a complete stop for more than X amount of seconds, it deactivates itself and you have to manually override it and hit the pedal to reactivate the vehicle to move. This vehicle here, it's showing that when you come to a complete stop, it has an auto resume, so I don't have to do anything, which that's huge. I wish it would stop for a second. Nope, we're now where the traffic's gonna start kind of breaking up here. So you're not gonna get it in this video, but pretty neat. And every adaptive cruise control vehicle I've had, you know, since I buy cars all the time, it's gotten better and better and better. And this does seem to have a little better handle on, you know, cars stopping and going, because a lot of cars, it's a radical, like, oh, you know, let's see if this one does it. And I do have it pretty close for the buffer zone, if you know what I mean. We may get it yet. Let's see. Nope, ain't gonna do it. Dang it. I'm trying to show that to you. 2 o'clock. Roads are jam-packed. If anybody thinks fuel prices are affecting people getting around, yeah. You look at inflation, that's all our conversation that piss people off, but I just look at things differently than other people do in life. It's interesting. The gas prices, I don't support high gas prices. But at the same time, if you look at the economics, so 2008, I got hammered in 2008. I mean, I went broke. I ain't lying. I had 3 different companies. It was a huge mistake. I started another business right there in 2007 when the whole economy, I mean, it's crazy how this economy is exactly like it was in 2007. Everybody and their brother was out buying stuff. Fuel prices went through the roof. I mean, it was just crazy times. And eventually the lights turned off. And yeah, if everybody was around the age of 2008, 2009, all the car companies went bankrupt. You know, banks went broke, houses foreclosure. It was radical beyond radical. And so here we are now, you know, basically 14 years later. And there's so many similar things to what happened in 2008's economy crash. Houses were expensive as heck. I mean, everybody's buying boats and trucks and motorcycles and RVs. I mean, everything was the same. And then, you know, the lights turned off. And so now, here we are 14 years later, and it's very interesting that here we kind of go again, expensive houses, expensive as hell fuel. But this time around, I'm not convinced the fuel is really going to do as much harm as a lot of people may think. And the reason I say that is you're 14 years later with inflation and incomes that today people are making incredible amount of money, especially in this DC area. It's ridiculous how much people make in this area. And so if you did the inflation factor on $2 gas, you know, the gas should be conservative $3.50 a gallon, $4 a gallon regardless. Just because of, you're talking, if you look at the economic trends of gasoline from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, the gas should be, you know, I would say conservative $3.50 a gallon. I mean, and yeah, we had the pandemic and the barrel of oil crashed, and we got down to, you know, the high dollar range in gas and low $2 range in gas, but it was all pandemic related. When even back then, 2-3 years ago, prior to the pandemic, you know, we had like $3 gas. So for me, with today's economic, you know, the individuals that make money today, I don't see $4 gas being radical. $5 gas, yes, because your lifestyle will have to change a little bit. But in the economics of inflation, of what's going on, I don't think $5 will drive this country into the ground. I think $6, $7 will, you know, but $4 or $5, I can't really see that being the failure of the country. And do I think it's going to sustain $5? It ain't. You know, we're going to have $3.50, $4 gas. That's probably kind of where it is. Maybe back to $3. I mean, I used to be an oil salesman. I used to sell oil. You know, I do kind of know the industry, and I'm out here supporting high gas prices, right? And you'd be like, well, yeah, you bought an electric car. I'd be like, yeah, right. It wasn't the primary reason, but yes. So, anyways, just kind of going back to the general conversation here, enjoying my car and not wanting to turn into a major debate and all that other stuff. So, traffic busted open now. It's time to start driving again. All right, coming back in. Looky here. 129 miles left. That's encouraging because I've gone over 100 miles today, and so that's kind of encouraging. Stop and go traffic everywhere you go, right? So what's gonna be interesting, I think I'm gonna go today about 115 miles, and it's, you know, you can't really say 128 miles. That's kind of weird. Is this morning, I think I started at 217, 214. I have to look at all my notes. Not to look at all my notes, but, you know, it's kind of interesting. How does this range thing really work? There's a lot of variables to that. So that's kind of encouraging, being that today, you know, I do 100-plus mile days average, you know, usually about 120 to 150 mile days. So is this going to be a vehicle when I get back in that I still have like 100 miles left? Which, that's not too bad. I mean, you know, for me, that's pretty impressive. You know, so all right, so the car, you probably won't get it now. Get your hands on the steering wheel. So, oh man, it's just crazy how hopefully at some point there'll be a video of this car where it shows I come to a complete stop and it takes back off. But it's stop and go traffic, or is it move and go traffic? Hey, let's call it move and go traffic, right? Anyways, hey, I'm pretty excited. I've had so many mixed feelings on getting an electric vehicle because I'm such an ICE age guy. And once again, this video is nothing about me wanting to challenge the EV owners. That's not what I bought this car for. I bought this car for me to hopefully get out of it what I think I'm gonna get out of it. And as each day progresses, we're gonna find out. Here we go. Hold on. All right, so I think we're gonna get a complete stop here. Maybe. Nope. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. Nope, you're not. I don't think before this day's out in this video, you're gonna get to see. Most people be like, who cares? Well, if you're the guy like me or gal that rides around in all these technology cars, this is the first car I've ever owned where it resumes speed by itself after X amount of time of being, sitting idle. So, which is huge because I live in stop and go traffic. People that don't work out of their vehicle and drive around 100, 150 miles a day, I can understand. They're like, whip-de-doo-dah. Yeah, right. You can just stay home and have Amazon deliver all your stuff. Hey, there you go, right? All right, so when I get back in, I'm going to break the numbers down. We'll talk about the numbers when I get back in. Exactly what I do. I think I have. One thing for sure on this adaptive in this vehicle, it's doing a heck of a job. And, since I've owned adaptive cruise control vehicles now, close to 10 years. I mean, my first vehicle was, I believe, the Toyota Sequoia. I think that was like 2013. And pretty outdated at this point. It was pretty crappy. It started raining out and turn off. So if people don't know that, don't drive these type of vehicles like I do, this vehicle really does a great job on pacing itself and not having the hard jerk. I mean, most of these cars, like, you're bouncing back and forth. Then the guy behind you just about rear ends you. So here we go. We may get a complete stop right now for the first time. Do we? It's funny, a car is creeping up. It's freaky if you're not used to this technology. So look, stopped. Okay, so now, does it do the resume? Which this is actually really good. Finally got the real deal. Because other cars, it actually deactivates the adaptive cruise control. Wow, traffic's brutal, man. Incredible. Yep, everybody's back. So wow, must be the school bus up here. So let's see, look. What happens? Oh, you do have to hit the button. So there you go. So I was wrong. So this car is like my other cars. It just may have a little longer threshold on the stop. So let's see. So it's stopped completely. Oh, wow. So no, I'm wrong. That is so weird. Back on the Beltway, this worked. Oh, well, delusional, right? The truth shall prevail. That's the goal. All right, finishing up the day. And it's funny, I drive this. I've lived in my home for over 30 years. And who would ever imagine so many years ago I'd be driving an electric vehicle down the road to my home? Wow. I've done pretty good today. I'm going to get my calculator out, which I talked about. All right, I'm back. So we've got 126 miles left. And I started off with, how many miles did I start off this morning for my work paper here? All right, so I started at 224. And I'm back in at basically 336. So what is that, right? 112 miles, is that right? I think it is. And this morning it said I had like 217 miles to go, but that would actually mean that I had, like 250. I don't know. Get the calculator out, right?